guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. So if you read the title, you know that today I'm going to be going over my November wrap up. But before we get into any of the books, let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Ana Luisa. You guys know I love Ana Luisa jewelry and I've talked about them before on this channel. I absolutely love the quality. I'm wearing some of their pieces right now. This necklace is one of my favorite pieces that they have sent me. Like, oh my gosh, it's just so pretty. I love having a little pop of color to kind of jazz up a normal boring outfit. And then I'm also wearing these little double hoops right there. And these are so easy to dress up and down. Again, the quality is like typical Ana Luisa, which is just super high quality and amazing. They are also ethical and sustainable. Very well made pieces. So you guys know the drill. They're obviously giving you a link to shop and I will have that down below. Definitely use my code and shop. I mean, these pieces make great gifts for the upcoming holiday season. And they're going to have pieces that are up to 25% off leading up to the holidays, so you can get those gifts at a good price. And Ana Luisa, in my opinion, is already at a really great price, especially for the quality. They are so high quality. And let me just show you a couple more pieces that they sent me. These green earrings just like speak to my little Slytherin soul. They are so cute and so classy. And again, adding these little subtle pops of color, I love. So here is a picture of me wearing them, styling them close up so you can see some detail. And then I also have some more Slytherin kind of earrings, and I feel like these are just, again, so classy, but still like cute and trendy, just like dainty. I love them. Here is a picture of me wearing those as well. So again, you can see the close up, the detail, and as you can see, these pieces are just so beautiful. So don't forget to shop. I know you guys are gonna love anything that you buy from Ana Luisa, so the link will be down below. And thank you again to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this video. Now let's go ahead and dive into the wrap up. And as always, let's start with some stats. So this month in November, I read a total of 13 books and 4,696 pages. Here is the mood breakdown, and this is not very varied at all this month. It's dark, mysterious, tense, and adventurous only. So I was staying really in the same genre, but I read a mix of pacing. So usually I have over 75% fast-paced books. And this month I only read 7 fast-paced and the rest were medium and slow. Again, I have some more variation in my book lengths this month as well. I did read a couple books that were over 500 pages and 3 that were under 500 pages. And then the rest were in my sweet spot, the 300 to 400 something page mark. I read all fiction books this month. And as for genre, I read mostly mystery thrillers with some fantasy thrown in, which is very different from me. And this is kind of how my reading went throughout the month. It was pretty like a book every couple of days until you get to my very beginning of my Thanksgiving break. I read like nothing because I was just tired, exhausted, and I wanted to spend time with my family. So that's kind of funny that you can see that in the chart. And as far as ratings this month, it was all across the board. My average rating was a 3.88 and it rarely dips below a 4. So not great ratings this month. I did have 1 2-star book and 1 2.5 star. And then I had 3 3-stars, 1 3.5, 1 4-star, 1 4.5. And then at the end, I had 5 5-star books. So really just all over the place, but I did end up reading a lot of good books this month. And as for the stats that Storygraph does not generate for me, the mode in which I read these books, I ended up reading 3 purely on audio, 2 with a mix of an audiobook and a physical book following along, and then I read 8 books physically. As for the age breakdown, I read 1 YA, 1 YA/new adult that's marketed weird, and 11 adult books. And my author stats this month are actually hilarious. Like, usually it's all over the board, like very varied. This month, I read literally from all white female identifying authors. Every single one. Can you believe? Like, the white women really popped off this month. So good for my people, I guess. I don't know, I just thought that was kind of funny, so I wanted to share that stat with you. Usually I'm like, I read from BDDDDD, and it's just like, no, the white girls came in swinging in November. So before I go through all the reviews of the books that I read this month, going from my lowest rated to my highest rated, I wanted to quickly go over some books that I read in a vlog that I'm not going to talk about really in depth. The first one being The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This was for my fantasy vlog that I posted this month, and so I'm not going to go in depth about it since I do have a whole vlog about it. Just know that I rated it 5 stars and I absolutely loved it. Please go watch that vlog. I will link it up here and down below so you can hear my full thoughts because I'm obsessed. I also read Caraval in that vlog, which I end up giving 2 stars, and I read Akatar, which I ended up giving 3 stars. So for full thoughts, go watch the vlog. And now let's get into the rest of the books that I read in November. Okay, sorry if I look slightly different, if the angle is slightly off, if my hair is slightly flatter. I had to go do something. Now I'm back. Now let's get into the books, starting with the lowest rated book and working our way up to the 5-star books. The 2.5-star book that I read this month was The Chalkman by C.J. Tudor. This one follows a boy/man in 2 different timelines, one when he was young and one when he is an adult in present day. And in both timelines, he is being left little Chalkman figures that are signal to a dead body, that a murder has taken place, and both of these timelines are connected, and he's trying to figure out who's killing these people, who did it then, and who's doing it now, kind of thing. And this book was just a little confusing to me. There was a lot going on, and I feel like it wasn't as fleshed out and well connected as I would have liked it to be. It is less than 300 pages, and forming a really intricate mystery in that time is really hard to do. So I don't think it was 100% successful. Also, it was a lot darker than I thought it was gonna be, which I don't mind. You guys know I really like dark graphic books, but for some reason, the themes in this one were just a little too much, and it did feel icky at times. And I actually read this one in a CJ Tudor taste test reading vlog. So if you missed that one and you want my full live reactions and reviews from the day that I read it, I will link that up above and down below. And moving on to my 3-star books, let's just stay in the same vein. The Other People by CJ Tudor is the other book that I read in that CJ Tudor taste test reading vlog, so you can hear my full thoughts in that. But I think this is an above average thriller. I was really enthralled for most of this book. I was interested. It was diving into things that I really do like to read about in a thriller, and I thought it was more unique than other missing girl thrillers that I've read. Basically, this follows a father who is told that his wife and daughter have been murdered. And he says, no, that's impossible. I was just driving on my way home and I saw my daughter on the highway in this car. So he does not believe that the body that they found of this little girl is actually his daughter, and he believes his daughter is out there somewhere. So every single day he drives up and down the highway where he last saw her, or he allegedly saw her, looking for his daughter. And many other things happen. There's dual timeline, there's dual perspective, and it's a lot of pieces to put together. But unlike The Chalkman, I thought this one was done a lot better. However, there were still some things that I just didn't connect with. This one was definitely better than the Chalkman, but I had trouble connecting with the characters still, and I'm not sure if CJ Tudor's writing style is perfect for me, but again, if you want the full in-depth review, watch that vlog. And the other 3-star book I read this month was The Therapist by B.A. Paris. This one follows a young couple who moves into a new house, and little do they know, a tragedy happened there years earlier before they moved in, involving the therapist who had lived there before. So the wife starts diving into the tragedy that happened and really feeling a connection to that therapist. She wants to know who this woman was. She's living in her space, or what used to be her space, so she's kind of doing some investigating of her own, and the mystery devolves from there. This is very much a British domestic thriller, which is exactly what I like. I think this is an above average thriller. Again, if I give something 3 stars, it's like a step up from 2.5, which is right in the middle, a middle of the road book. And I definitely thought that this one was above average. I was enthralled while I was reading it. It kept me turning pages. I liked the inclusions of those domestic elements, like the neighborhood gossip. I also really liked the way that the subdivision where the house was set up. It was like all the houses are facing each other in this little circle, and in the middle was this courtyard. So all the neighbors can look out of their windows and spy on each other, which I thought was just a really great way to set up the suburban paranoia that was center for a lot of this book. I really enjoyed it. However, it was a little bit forgettable. I don't remember some of the main plot points, and I only read this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's definitely not something that's going to be a new favorite, but if you're looking for a fun time and a good domestic thriller, I would recommend picking this one up. I do have to say though, this is very unique to me, so don't take this critique to heart, but I do have to say, I'm a therapist, and some of this therapy rep was but the big thing that got on my nerves is that a specific disorder was referenced in this book, and that psychological disorder does not exist. It is completely made up. It is a fake name. It's a fake disorder, and I don't want people reading this book and then going around thinking that this disorder exists, because it does not. It is simply a lie. And I don't know how I feel about that, because if you get part of your psychoeducation from fictionalized accounts of therapy, that's really not good. But at the same time, we're not fictionalizing a real illness that real people struggle with. So I'm kind of going back and forth with whether I like that or not, but it was very weird to me, so that's something to consider if you're a mental health worker like I am, and you would be annoyed by that. Next, I want to talk about The Missing by Kirsten Magdalene. This is kind of like a And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie retelling, where this group of people end up on this island together. They're all strangers, none of them know each other, and they end up stranded there and getting picked off one by one. Now that is just one of the timelines that we're following. We're following this other more ambiguous timeline as well that follows a husband and wife. We're not sure where the events take place, and we're not sure who these people are that we're following, but we know that it somehow connects to the people on the island, and the wife in this couple is a con woman. So we're thinking that somehow maybe she's connected. Is she a woman on the island? Is she the person who got these people abandoned there? Is she the murderer who's there picking people off? It's an ambiguous one. It's a good mystery. It adds that other element that makes the thriller even harder to predict and figure out. And I really like the way that that was done with the more ambiguous, mysterious perspective. However, a lot of this book was pretty boring. It was a lot of just surviving on the island, trying to live off the land, trying to wave down a passing boat or helicopter, and it felt really monotonous and the same. But besides that, the actual plot of the story when action was happening, I did like. So I was going to originally give it a 4-star because I feel like that was a pretty minor thing that I didn't like, was just part of the plot dragging. And then the end happened, and I had to take off another 1/2 star because I just did not know how I felt about that ending. And obviously I'm not going to give any spoilers here, but just know this ending I feel like is going to be pretty divisive. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And I wouldn't say that I hated it, but I definitely wasn't expecting it. I'll put it that way. And it kind of made me want to lower my rating. So 3.5 for The Missing. Next, let's talk about the one 4-star book that I read during November, Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. This was so fun. This book is perfect for you if you love that domestic thriller feel, that suburban paranoia, suburban drama, neighborhood drama, mommy drama, all of that stuff. If you like that, you gotta pick this one up. It was so well done for being such a tropey book like that. It wasn't your typical, oh no, someone was murdered and someone in the neighborhood did it. Who was it? It has this extra layer because it follows one of our main characters, Ruby, who is coming back to this suburb after she was just acquitted for a murder of a couple that lived in the neighborhood. And the whole neighborhood can't stand her. They think that she was wrongly acquitted. They think that she was the murderer. They all testified against her in court. And now she's just back, reintegrating into the community, and people think that she did it. So she's under all of this suspicion. And when more people start getting picked off one by one, she comes under even more suspicion. So we're figuring out who killed the couple back then? Who's killing the people now? Did Ruby do it? What's happening? It is very intriguing, and it definitely kept me flipping pages. I really, really enjoyed this one. However, it was just a domestic thriller. I don't think it was anything too groundbreaking, and it's definitely not a new favorite. So I landed on a 4-star instead of a 5. I also read a 4.5-star book this month. One of my most anticipated reads of 2021, might I add, False Witness by Karen Slaughter. As you can see, this thing is tabbed out the wazoo. I really, really enjoyed reading this book, and I read this book in November because I was the co-host for the book troop discussion. So I will link that discussion up above and down below as well if you want to hear my full thoughts and the discussion that I had with Gabby. Obviously, Gabby is the owner, operator, head lady in charge of the book troop book club. So that was super fun reading along with her and with you guys, and I thought the live show was really, really great. So I hope you guys had a fun time as well if you read along with us. But basically what this book is about is a defense attorney and her sister who is now struggling with drugs and substance abuse and addiction. And they've both kind of ended up in these opposite patterns for their life because they had severely different reactions to a traumatic situation that they went through together when they were teenagers. And now, 20 odd years later, the past is back to haunt them again in the form of one of the defense attorney's sister's new clients. And that's as detailed as a description that I'm going to give you because I think you should go in knowing virtually nothing for this book, as you should for all Karen Slaughter books. They read so much better, in my opinion, when everything is a surprise. The twists start in this book in chapter 1. No, I'm not kidding. I'm 100% serious. There's a twist that happens after chapter 1. And it absolutely blew my mind. I love this book so much. The plot was so supremely crafted. And as always, I really deeply cared about the characters. This is a much more emotional story than a typical thriller. And I think that's 100% a credit to Karen Slaughter's writing style and her talent, frankly. You guys know that I'm like Miss Slaughter's biggest fan, so I don't need to sit here singing singing her praises all day, but I feel like I do owe you guys an explanation as to why this is not a 5-star read, because this is one of the first Karen Slaughter books that I've read that I have not rated 5 stars. Granted, it's a 4.5, so you could round it up, it's almost there. But there were a couple things included in this book that took me out of the story every now and then, and it's the reason why I didn't give it 5 stars, because I didn't feel fully immersed in this world, in these characters' lives. I kept having moments where I was taken out a little bit and having Hailey thoughts rather than I'm in this world and I'm in the plot thoughts. And those two elements were, one, COVID. This book takes place during COVID times. There's talk about masks, about the vaccine, about all the wonderful, horrible, and neutral aspects of going through the pandemic. She really runs the gamut and made it feel really realistic, which I know some people really liked, but for me, I'm not ready to go there yet. The pandemic is still weighing heavy on me. It's a lot. I can't think about it too long without going existential. So that was one thing that took me out of the book sometimes. And the second factor was just reading so much about drug abuse and substance addiction was a lot for me. If you don't know, I am a therapist for my full-time job, and reading about that in my decompressing leisure time was not ideal. When I'm forced to think about mental health while I'm reading a book in a clinical context, I just get taken out of the book. I have thoughts of like, what would I do if this was my client? And I was really consumed with a lot of those thoughts rather than consumed with this character and how they were dealing with it. So I don't know exactly if that was intended or if that was just a natural thing that occurred because I have this background knowledge and I was reading something that pertained to it. That doesn't happen all the time when I'm reading mental health representation in books. I do think this representation was really great, really accurate. But because of the person who I am, it did take me out of the story. And I'm sure if I was a slightly different person and I didn't have that background knowledge, I might have given this one 5 stars. Either way, I think this one is so good. One of the best releases of 2021. Go pick it up if you love dark graphic thrillers. And finally, we are here to the end of the video when I can talk about my 5-star reads of the month. First up, I have another Karen Slaughter here. Who's surprised? We have Faithless. And this is the second to last book in the Grant County series. I'm almost done. I only have one book to go. And it is so good. I had to give this one 5 stars. And obviously I don't want to give away too much of the plot because this is like the 4th or 5th in a series. So if you don't have any background knowledge of what happened now, I don't want to spoil anything. But basically we're following the town coroner, the town sheriff, and a town police officer as they solve murders, as we do in every book of the Grant County series. However, in this book, there are major culty vibes, and I love cult murders. I love cult thrillers. I love consuming cult true crime content because just the psychological nature of like how you can get sucked in a cult is so fascinating to me, and there was a ton of that in this book, and it was so deep. Just the layers of this story, they were phenomenally so well done. I read this book so fast, even though it's such a chunk. There's like over 600 pages in this book, but I just had to know how all of these different people were connected, if and how the cult was responsible for the murders. It was just, oh, it was so good, and I wish I could talk more about it, but I don't want to get into spoilers for the rest of the series. So just know this is definitely a new favorite, and Karen Slaughter can do no wrong. Next up, I have one that you might be slightly confused by, and that is The First Shot by Liv Constantine. And I know I just talked about this in my December TBR, and I did film that before December started because I wanted to get it up for you before December, but on the last day of November, I actually ended up picking this one up off of my December TBR because I just could not wait to read it. I was so so excited for this one, and it definitely did not disappoint. This is the prequel to The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine, and definitely do not pick this one up until you read The Last Mrs. Parrish. It really gives away a lot of, not necessarily the plot of The Last Mrs. Parrish, but a lot of what I feel like the magic was that took place in The Last Mrs. Parrish, which was getting to know the characters. And this is just more of Amber, our slightly psychotic, really scrappy main character in The Last Mrs. Parrish, and what she got up to before the events in The Last Mrs. Parrish. Obviously, it's a prequel. I absolutely loved it. The further characterization of Amber and getting to know a little bit more of her backstory was so fun. The writing style was exactly what I loved about The Last Mrs. Parrish. This character's voice is just so darkly funny, almost in a like Joe Goldberg-esque kind of way. So if you like that, or you like The Last Mrs. Parrish, definitely pick this one up. Now we're getting into the top 2 books of the month. First up, we have The Arrangement, also by Kirsten Magdalene. Can you tell I was on a little bit of a Kirsten Magdalene kick this month? This one absolutely blew my mind, and I think you should go in knowing little to nothing, but this is what I'll tell you if you want to be enticed or if you need to be convinced to read this book. It is about a married couple who feel like things are getting a little stale. They're not as wonderfully in love as they once were, so they start to incorporate this arrangement in their marriage where one night a week they get to go have a one-night stand and do whatever they want to do, and the other one cannot ask about it, and that's just how it's going to be to spice it up and make sure everybody is happy and satisfied without having to leave their partner who they do have love for. It's just not as great as it once was. And as you can probably imagine, that arrangement goes down the drain pretty quickly. There is so much going on in this book, and it's frustrating because I can't really tell you exactly what I loved about it because it was all of the twists. This is a very short book. It is under 300 pages. It's only 200 pages actually. This whole book with the acknowledgments and everything is only 200 pages, and it is so fast-paced. It is like flash, bang, boom. Every 2 seconds, I swear, there was a twist. And these were not just like, oh, a little reveal. These were like, boom, huge twist that alters the entire plot. And I swear there were like 7 of them. I was getting whiplash from these twists. And the thing is, they didn't feel cheap or random either. It was like, oh shit, how did I not see that coming? That is like major. And yeah, this book just takes so many turns, and the end blew my freaking mind. I think it says somewhere on here that Kirsten Magdalene, her fans like call her the Queen of Twists, and I definitely understand why she was dubbed the Queen of Twists, because this was insane, absolutely insane, and I can't wait to read more of her work because I'm really enjoying her thrillers. And finally, my favorite book that I read in November was The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. All of you guys were telling me that I was going to love this one, and you were totally right. This has got to be one of my favorite books of the year, as Lisa Jewell's newest release almost always is. She just has a way of creating characters that it's literally gonna make me cry, like thinking about it right now. Thinking about the way that she writes her characters, you just care about them so much. Their emotions are so deep, and again, her books are so much more than just a thriller, but it doesn't lose the magic and excitement and thrills that you would want from a good thriller. I would describe Lisa Jewell's books as if Taylor Jenkins Reid started writing domestic thrillers in the UK. That's how I would describe this book to you. And it follows the disappearance of a missing teen mother from multiple perspectives and on multiple timelines as well. way before she went missing, as she's going missing, and a year after she's missing. And you're trying to figure out what happened to this teen mom. It's very sad because she has left her baby behind, and it's obviously being taken care of by his grandmother, who is Tallulah, the missing girl's mother. Whole life was really taken from her. I mean, she lost her daughter and her life was thrown for a loop, and now she has to take care of this little boy. So there are just so many layers to this, and there is a wonderful mental health rep, wonderful representation for LGBT, which I love to see in a thriller, especially a domestic thriller. I love reading domestic thrillers and I love reading gay shit, and it's very, very, very frustrating that it almost never collides. But my queen did it for me today in this book, and I could not be happier about it. The way that this book talks about sexuality and accepting yourself and coming out and things like that, I just want to cry talking about this book. It is so fucking good. And again, it is so much more than a thriller. Every reveal hit me with an impact, like Lisa Jewell's twists always do. And I don't want to ramble about this forever, but I really can't say enough how much I recommend this book. This one is so good. Everyone that was telling me to read it, you were right, as you almost always are. I freaking love this book, and it was the best book that I read in all of November. So with that, those were all of the books that I read this past month. Sorry, this is coming out a little late for you guys. I have been doing a lot, graduating from grad school, trying to get my life together. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Better late than never, am I right? So if you did enjoy it, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Oh, and don't forget to check out my link to Ana Luisa down below if you want to check out some of these beautiful jewelry pieces. Holiday season, great for gift giving. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.